My name's Lloyd, and I'm what's known to magicians as a creative consultant. Now, if you're not that far into your magic journey, you may be wondering what that means. Basically, in a nutshell, I teach magicians, but I teach the world's best magicians, like those on TV, on stage, or in intense close-up situations. I educate them on how to take their magic to the next level by absolutely obsessing over every single detail to do with magic tricks, and then finding ways to extrapolate the information out and deliver it to them so that they can learn to become better practitioners. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how to make your sleight of hand look way better, look more fluent and more deceptive, by hardly doing anything different in terms of technical ability. That means, or what I mean by that is that if you think about the way you approach your sleights slightly differently, you can remove so many different elements of friction, meaning that when you execute them, they go from A to Z without anybody seeing any bumps in the middle of the road. To the uninitiated of you out there, you might be saying, Lloyd, what the F are you talking about? I know it sounds a bit mysterious, it sounds a bit weird. The best way to show you what I mean is to give you 3 examples. Once you've learned those, or once you understand those, you can then start thinking, how can I apply this to the daily sleight of hand that I use when I perform magic? This is the Herman Pass. We'll get a card selected, memorized, and then lost into the center of the deck. And just like that, it comes to the top. So let's talk about the intelligent motion here that allows this to be slightly more deceptive than usual. Normally with a Herman Pass, a card is selected and a pinky break is retained. And then this deck, or this half of the deck, the top half, is brought forward, the lower half is kicked to the side, and then everything gets sort of squared. And the reason this sometimes looks a bit obvious is because the cards are coalesced together, first of all, with the break, and then this half is brought up. So you have this beat of motion where it goes bump, bump. And it kind of, there's no fluency to it. There's a break in the rhythm. Sometimes people select a card like this, come forward, and then do the move. So essentially the deck is going, this half of the deck is going 1, 2, 3, which is a really unnatural movement of motion. The way that I fix this is that when the card gets selected like this, instead of bringing my top hand back, I actually move my top hand forward out of the way. It's the same thing to the audience, you're just moving one hand out of the way, but it creates this fluency when it comes to the pass. So I display the card or have the card replaced, and now look at this. This hand, this packet, is already in that position for the pass to be executed. So I don't need to come back here and then tilt forward, or come from here and then tilt forward. By naturally moving it out of the way here, I'm already in that pass position. Which means that when I go to bring this hand back, instead of coming flat on top and then lifting up, I keep my hand in the same position and using my index finger curled underneath and these side fingers here, my ring, pinky and middle, I immediately kick this to the side, this bottom half to the side, meaning I'm already in the halfway through my pass before the 2 halves of the deck have ever been recoalesced. So instead of being here and then executing the pass, just by coming out forward and out of the way, now I'm already halfway there by the time my hands come back together. All that's left to do is to square the 2 halves up. And I do this by bringing them sideways, okay, in a little fast squaring back and forth motion covers up all the coalescement. So just that tiny change of bringing the hand out of the way to the front instead of to the back gets rid of so many unnecessary beats when it comes to coalescing the cards. And that's how you can use intelligent motion for the Herman Pass. Whoosh, whoosh. That was terrible. I'm going to show you 2 more tricks in this tutorial, but I have legitimately the tiniest favor to ask you ever. If you've been following the online world at all lately, you'll have seen that YouTube has massively overhauled the algorithm, meaning that they just want you to watch short content more than ever before. Even when you search, you'll see that like the first batch of results are all shorts, And there's a time and a place for short form video, but I think when it comes to learning magic tricks properly and becoming like better practitioners and actually taking what you've learned to the next level, then the only correct way of doing it is in long form content. That means creators like myself from now on YouTube, I'm not going to really be featured to any of you anymore. So if you're not subscribed to my channel already, you just won't see my material that much, if at all. So the tiny favor that I'm going to ask you is that if you are enjoying the magic that I teach and you want to learn even more, just keep seeing more of it completely for free, then please just hit that subscribe button and you'll be shown it in your newsfeed. All right, let's go learn some more damn tricks. This is a variation of the classic color change. You'll see we have here the 6 of diamonds. Don't take your eyes off that 6 because all I have to do is wave and it becomes the 2. Now, let me show you what's interesting about this. Grab yourself a double and get a pinky break beneath the 2 cards. Now, normally, you would turn a card over on top of the deck, retaining that break, and then you would use your ring finger to slide the bottommost card out, placing it against the palm of your hand. But the problem is that this second card down essentially has to shift over the entire width of the card above it before coming back into place, which means your hand has to move a total hand's width apart before the change happens, which can look kind of obvious. If you carefully consider the motion in your movements, then you can reduce this distance by half. So let me show you how I achieve this. I get a pinky break as normal, but instead of turning the card over end for end and allowing it to become square on top of the pack, I execute a Stuart Gordon turnover, leaving the card misaligned about half its length across the top card of the deck. Okay, so it's out jogged to the side. Now, when I square this card back in, my ring finger is going to push against the back of the hidden card, leaving it in place. So in the natural action of apparently just squaring this card on top of the deck, I've now out jogged this card half its length. But at the same time, my ring finger is also going to kick out even further, meaning that with my right hand in place above it to put a bit of tension on the card, this card is now essentially all the way clear from the card above it, but with half the motion. Okay, so when the card is here, I come and point, so I'm not just going straight above. Okay, so I've got some reasoning to point here. And now as I come to square, my hand goes above the card and I use my ring finger to push it into my palm. And now, look, I've completely cleared that card. All I have to do is just square everything and execute the change. So at speed, let me show you the 2 differences. Initially, you would do this in the original handling, and you can see there's a lot of motion back and forth there. But now with the Stuart Gordon turnover, which leaves the card out jogged to the side, I point, I talk about the card, and now look at that, there's hardly any motion comparatively. I want to dive in really quickly. I hope you're enjoying the tutorial so far. This is a public video, that meaning only if people are interested will they come in and sit through and watch it. But if you want to learn those secrets that I cannot share publicly, the type of stuff that I teach to the magicians on television and on stage, the type of material that I hold back just for the most important moments, then head to fourthfloorlabs.tv. That's my membership. There's only 1 tier and it costs the same price as a couple of coffees a month. That's it. But there's over 50 exclusive magic apps, tutorials, lectures, masterclasses. It's literally the grade A prime cut gold dust material, but it cannot go publicly on YouTube. So if you want to take your magic way up to the next level and probably beyond that, then head to fourthfloorlabs.tv. And for watching this video, use the code MOTION and you'll get 50% off the membership. Now let's finish this sucker. This is the Premier control. I'm going to go through the cards, and I'd imagine if you were here, you'd call out stop somewhere like this. Memorize this card, don't forget it, as we lose it into the center of the deck. With no moves, that card instantly comes to the top. We can do it again, just in case you don't believe me. I'll run through the cards just like this. Let's say you stop me on this card this time. Memorize it, and we'll lose it back into the center of the deck. So this was inspired by the Steve drawn circle control. However, there's a lot of big changes to this that I feel make it more fluent and deceptive. I'm not going to go over all the details, but I'll show you the key intelligent motion design behind it. The key to the secret is that once a card's been selected, let's say they stop me here, I'm going to bring this bottom half back to the deck, and secretly the selection rides to the top. So I'll do it face up so you can see. The card is selected here, and just like that, it comes to the top. Now, what's interesting about the motion here is that instead of having a card taken out from the spread, one by one or a few cards at a time, I'm going to go through and say, tell me to stop. And as I do, I'm going to spread a few cards and break them, and then tilt them back so they get to see the faces, which looks really fair. But at the same time, if you notice, I'm setting myself up for the move way in advance. So I break a few off, then I come down, break a few more off, and I bring these back. And I do this a few more times until they tell me to stop. Now, the shield, you couldn't execute this move down here because they would see it. It has to happen up here. So by starting with my cards being selected a few at a time and bringing them up to chest height, I'm already in that position naturally without making it look weird before the move needs to happen. I'm already there before it begins. Now I get a card selected, okay, and I get a pinky break there so it doesn't create any suction and pull more cards with it. So I get a pinky break. Now look where I am. I'm going to naturally bring this half of the deck back up, which seems like a rational thing to do. It would also seem rational to bring these down as well, but both work in the eyes of the audience. So now I'm here. When I bring these cards up, I pull this top card down and to the side. And that means this card won't stick out over the top from the front view either. So I bring it back into the side. But now look, when I bring everything together, it slides naturally underneath. Everything's covered from the front. I can bring these back to align it, and I'm here. So you can see just that tiny change of bringing the selected cards or the non-selected cards back to chest height here. Now when I go to coalesce everything, it makes complete sense to bring them to meet the rest of the cards before coming back down. And it's just tiny changes like that are going to really amplify how smooth and deceptive your sleight of hand becomes.